Well, I spent some time on Amazon hunting for some parts.
Oh, what did you... Wait. What did you get?
I got...
Is this it over here?
Yeah, it's over
Should
there.
we grab
Can
it?
you
Okay.
grab it? So
Yeah.
I got a Raspberry Pi. And we'll show the unboxing in a different clip because I don't want to take it. I just want to get right to talking.
Yeah,
about
you already
it.
have that anyways. Yeah, we'll
But
do that.
yeah, so check it out. I got a Raspberry Pi.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about this Raspberry Pi?
So I suppose it's delicious. I haven't tried it myself yet. But it's supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
And just really flavorful. And you get some different flavors too, because you get like the buttery, how you say, like crust.
Yeah. Okay.
Like a crust. You know what those are. And then
I know. Yeah, I think I know what a buttery crust is. Do you want to heat that up by the fire?
Yeah, let's just let that toast over here for a little bit. No, okay. So joking aside, though, this is a cherry pie. No one sells Raspberry Pis. I really wanted to land this joke, but I can't lie to you. It's a cherry pie. No, I went to so many stores looking for a Raspberry Pi. They don't exist. They do exist in the form of this.
Well, that looks more like a Lego brick.
It does. I bought a Lego compatible case, so it's not Lego made, except for the extra parts on top. Those are
Can I see that?
those are Lego bricks. Super light.
That's actually like fairly... I'm assuming this is maybe 3D printed. I'm not sure, but it's good quality.
Case. Yeah, no, the case is really nice.
Feels good.
I just needed something to put my Raspberry Pi in that wasn't super big. That people make like bigger cases to put it in, and I really wanted the smallest thing possible.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean that's it. I've got 32 gigs of storage on here. There's a little slot for me to be able to change out the SD card if I need to. We've got 4 USB inputs and there's an Ethernet port, but it has a built-in Wi-Fi, so I don't actually need the Ethernet port. And actually, how I loaded a lot of the games that I have onto this is through a networked connection. So
Right.
I connected to Wi-Fi at home, and then from my main computer, I was able to drag things over to it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. It's got built-in Wi-Fi for something so small. Does it have Bluetooth built in, or do you need like a dongle for that?
To be honest, off the top of my head, I don't know. I think you might need a dongle.
Yeah, I mean, for the price, if it doesn't have Bluetooth built in, then that's okay. But
Yeah.
I would have been super impressed more if it also had Bluetooth. That would have been really neat.
And I should probably explain a little bit more. So this is the Raspberry Pi 3. It's their latest board, so it might have Bluetooth built in. It was about $40 for the board on Amazon, and it came with heat sinks. And I did have to buy the power cable, a controller, the case, the board, and the micro SD card. And in total, it came to about $90.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Free 2-day shipping.
Free 2-day shipping.
Which was a little bit more than I want to expend, but the case was a little bit more than I probably should have paid for a RetroPie, Raspberry Pi case. And then what I did is there's a website, I think it's retropie.com or retropie.co.uk. They made an operating system called RetroPie that you can load and boot onto the SD card, and then it essentially turns your Raspberry Pi 3 into a retro gaming console.
Okay.
So it has their favorite emulators built into it, and then you find ROMs to games that you've had, or whatever, and load them onto here. So right now I've got a few original Nintendo games, some of the Super Nintendo games that I've had growing up, Pokemon Emerald for the Game Boy Advance. I got a couple real classic games for the PlayStation 1, such as Crash Racing 3 and Toy Story 2 Buzz Lightyear's.
Do they have a lot of those games up nowadays for the PS1?
Oh yeah, there's a good amount, and they actually run shockingly well off of this.
That's good.
Nintendo 64 games for me. Now, so that's the other thing, is that this took a couple hours to set up. and it's taken a little bit more time. I've loaded a couple Neo Geo games on it for you to test out.
You know I like my Neo Geo games.
Yeah, those took forever to download. And granted, my internet speeds are garbage. The Nintendo Entertainment System games downloaded in like half a second.
Yeah.
And the Neo Geo games took like 10 minutes.
Well, the Neo Geo games are getting into megabytes. I mean, they even put it on the cartridges there, like how many like bytes, megabytes the game is. But it's still, you do have a slow internet connection because those should download faster.
Yeah.
If you're talking about gigs, I would say okay, sure.
But yeah, so far the Nintendo, in my opinion, the NES games run really, really well. The Super Nintendo games run really, really well. I haven't tried the Neo Geo ones yet, but the PlayStation 1 games shockingly ran well, considering like the 3D rendering that needs to happen.
Yeah.
The N64 games run like garbage for me right now.
I think part of the reason for that is hackers haven't completely cracked the N64's encryption and the boards themselves. I think that's part of why you don't see a good emulator for them, and I think only a handful of the library is actually a ROM in ROM form these days, because some of the consoles are harder to crack and whatnot. Also, interestingly enough, you don't see the N64 as an option for a lot of the 5-in-1 consoles. You see the ones where you can actually put the cartridges in them and play them on HDMI.
Because that's what you have for some of your like Nintendo games right now, right?
I don't have one yet. I will get one. The Retron 5 is an example, for instance. Because actually also the N64 still, the Nintendo still has like the patents haven't run out on some of those. So they can't do a system with those with N64 consoles.
That's interesting.
Until the patents actually run out on them.
Huh.
Yeah. So of course you do own all these games, I would assume.
Yep.
Because we of course do not promote ROMs unless you own the game. Maybe. No, actually, my opinion on that is it's really dependent on the game.
Yeah.
Do a lot of people do it? Yes. Is it wrong? That's a gray area. I mean, if the company is not losing any money off of that, then who cares? There's plenty of games on the NES that they've never been not updated, but never been put out on like Xbox Live Arcade or the Wii, the eShop, the Nintendo eShop, things like that. Little Samson is an example. The only way to play Little Samson other than emulation is through having to purchase the close to $800 cartridge, for the original Nintendo.
Poor little Samson.
Yeah. So, for that, no one's losing money off of it. It's not like it's actively out anywhere. So,
yep.
Who cares? Something on the other hand, like Mario, you can argue that. I think a lot of people own Mario in some form, but
yeah,
you can also argue that Nintendo actively has it on their Wii U eShop. Could they be losing money because you're not purchasing it there? Possibly. It's definitely a gray area with ROMs doing any emulation, but I think it's really dependent on the games.
Yeah, no, I agree. And a lot of those games are not ones that there are the older ones that I wouldn't be able to find necessarily. But
yeah,
it's cool. Just pure. I like building computers, so it was really fun for me to set this up. And try to figure some of the stuff out that wasn't going right for me. Like sound, I still can't get sound to go through my HDMI port. And I think technically it goes through the HDMI port, but it goes through as mono for a lot of these games, or for all of the games that I have on here. And my television at home only accepts it in stereo through the HDMI. There's no way to change that.
Oh, you can't change it on your TV?
No, I mean, I might be able to. I haven't been able to figure it out yet.
I also feel like that would be system dependent too. Like if you tried Neo Geo games, it's still just mono.
It might be. It might be that maybe all ROM. I haven't really looked into it too much. But
if you guys know, feel free to let us know in the comments below.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, you guys know I also got the NES Classic Edition as well. There's the box right up there. Comparable size to your RetroPie.
Yeah.
It's very small, as you can see in the unboxing video somewhere. Maybe it's.
We'll put a link right here.
How do you do it again? Link. Yeah, I probably.
I like that. We could meet in the middle and then.
As long as we don't touch fingers. Which has been really cool so far. I like. Oh, I forgot to ask. Have you played around with, or do you know if it has save states at all?
I played around with it a little bit, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like with the NES Classic are the save states. So playing like Mike Tyson. Well, sorry, Mr. Dream's Punch Out.
So I have Mike Tyson's Punch Out on here.
You see clear advantages. Yeah, playing that, I can do a couple of fights. I can save it. I don't have to put any passcode in or
That's nice.
Restart the game. It's got a save state, and then you just go back to it. And each game has 4 different saves that you can do to it. Of course, now there's also ways to hack the NES Classic as well too, so you can get the majority of the library, the NES library on there. Yeah, I would love to do some kind of we'll show some kind of comparison video.
Yeah, we'll get some footage of both, and
yeah, I'm just curious what the quality looks like with the different how they look on the bigger TVs, how they look with filters.
Yeah, well, because you get some options, so I don't really have options. I get kind of however it.
You sure there's nowhere to like filter in those emulators or anything?
Not so that's the other thing, is that it's not as easily set up as your Classic.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is a way to do it, it's not readily.
You have to like add it in somehow.
It's not. Yeah, it's not readily apparent.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to. I'm not super familiar with Linux, which is what the Raspbian based RetroPie is.
So it's called Raspbian.
It's the type of OS that like Raspberry Pi Linux.
Linux. I wasn't sure if that was like a term you just came up with. Raspbian.
Raspbian.
The Raspbians are coming. Watch out. They only come out at night in the warmth.
No. But yeah, no, it's Linux based, so I'm not super familiar with it. So there's a lot that I'm like struggling to figure out. So I would say that that's a clear disadvantage, because someone who is into retro gaming might not necessarily also be into programming or be that good with modern computers, which is almost a necessity to.
But you said that, but that's why they sell like kits that are already kind of pre.
Other people sell kits,
Yeah.
so RetroPie themselves don't actually. Sell anything, but
RetroPie.
But I was even on Craigslist the other day, and I saw that someone was selling old NES cartridges that were essentially someone built the RetroPie into it and preloaded it with the whole NES library. They were selling for like $160 something on the Craigslist.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's so many options in the RetroPie. I mean, you can go into various different systems, which is neat. I mean, I think you're just limited to NES games on this. I thought I saw a video of somebody putting Super Nintendo games, but space-wise, I'm not exactly sure how much space is on there.
And it's probably all proprietary.
Yeah. Yeah, there's ways to hack.
Nintendo didn't put like an SD card in there.
They didn't put an SD slot in there or anything like that. But yeah, there's ways to get the library. I'm not sure how they will look, or what's going on. I like that. I just like this NES Classic since it's it's made by Nintendo. It's an official Nintendo product. It's also kind of I would say it could be a collector's item down the road, depending on how many more they end up making.
Yeah, the box is really nice. They did a really good job.
And the controller, let me tell you, the controller itself is almost identical. I mean, I would say identical to the original Nintendo controller, which is neat. Other than the cable that actually plugs into the system, that's the only difference.
Now, are you the type of person where if you're, because that's another thing with this that might have some disadvantages, I guess it could be considered one way or the other, is that with all of those systems, you've got the NES, the Super NES, N64. In order to make it really feel like you're actually playing an NES or a Super NES, you'd actually have to have a controller to go along with it. So then you end up having a set of like 30 different retro controllers. Do you think that there would be like, would you have a problem playing a Nintendo Entertainment System game using like my USB PS2 controller that I've been using to play all my RetroPie games with because it was $6 on Amazon?
Yeah, that one feels cheap, so I'd probably have a problem playing on that.
But that's what I mean, though. So it's not that bad of a controller, but it is a cheap controller.
Yeah.
And I wanted something that had a D-pad, it had buttons over here, and it had the joysticks for the N64 games and the PS1 games. But it feels weird, and it feels a little bit sacrilegious to be playing like Ice Climbers with this.
If anything, I don't think it's a bad thing. I can get used to most controllers for the most part. I don't necessarily need to keep things exactly the way they were.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever's comfortable, I think for me personally is fine. I definitely, if I had a RetroPie, I probably wouldn't get different controllers for different systems.
You probably just get like a set.
The only thing I would probably do would be like N64 because that one's just crazy feeling, and you kind of feel like maybe I need that N64 controller. But the other ones are either 2 buttons or 6 buttons, for like the NES and the Super NES. And I don't think I would get confused as long as I can map them out the way that I want to.
Which you get to do as soon as you plug it into the console.
Honestly, when I use controllers too, I for a fun way to play, I like to use arcade sticks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I'll use an arcade stick on. Like I have an emulator I used on when I did a stream to Mighty Final Fight, and I actually used emulation because I don't have my FrameMeister in yet. But I used an arcade stick for some of the games that I was trying out, and it's fun. I like using it.
That's cool. They sell kits that you can build your own arcade stick and hook it up to like a USB, so that way you can have a USB. I'm sure you can buy a USB arcade stick, but
my arcade stick is USB.
Yeah, we should try it out and see if it works.
One, yeah.
But they sell kits that you can build your own, because if you built the Raspberry Pi, then you might want to also build your own arcade stick.
Yeah, I used to do that once in a while. I would modify arcade sticks to play on like different systems, for instance.
Yeah.
But I like using arcade sticks. It gives you that kind of, especially for fighting games. I need them. It's hard to do motions for me on D-pads because they're just not as fun, or analog sticks. It just gives you a more fun arcade type experience. So.
Yeah. That's cool. I think my next project will actually be building an arcade machine using the RetroPie.
That'd be fun. I have an arcade machine actually over there, so
we'll have to get that in a future video.
Arcade classics. What's your favorite arcade system? Would you have a favorite controller that you like to use at all?
Well, so not the PS2 controller. I thought that I would like it, but I don't know. For whatever reason, it feels weird to be playing some of those games with it.
Well, just more buttons than you need.
Definitely more buttons than I need, and I don't know. I was thinking about getting there's one on Amazon. I think it's made by a company called like 8-Bit or something like that. It looks like a Super Nintendo controller with joysticks. So if you need the joysticks for something, and it's Bluetooth, which is what I wanted, because I really wanted to make this as convenient as possible.
Yeah.
So I think that will be something I'll maybe invest in. But as far as real controllers, I would love to be able to hook up my GameCube controllers to this using the Wii U adapter for the GameCube, the original GameCube controllers.
Have you looked into that at all? Is it possible?
People smarter than me have been able to get it to work. So maybe I will stand on their shoulders and see if I can figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know why you love that GameCube controller so much, but
such a comfortable controller. Maybe we can do a poll on our Twitter.
What's your favorite controller? I don't know. I think for me the most comfortable's probably been the Xbox 360 one.
I think we need another log on the fire.
Oh no, the fire went out?
Yeah.
Oh man, hold on. Let me see if I can fix the fire here. Sometimes you just gotta
get another log. Let me just
Oh goodness.
Our fire is password protected.
It's a password protected fire. And I think
Just pick up a log right here, and
just throw it on.
it's got an intro.
Yeah, the fire.
How did that many people work on this?
You know, I mean, sometimes people have to cut the wood. They have to import the wood.
Could you? Okay.
Treat the wood. But yeah, it looks good though. Right, guys? Oh gosh, the magic's gone now.